party to the leadership of the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC. The defectors from Aba North local government area of the state were received into the party by the Senate Chief Whip, Senator Ojikalo, at his camp, Neya's country home in Igberi-Bende local government area of the state. Kalu, who received the new party members on behalf of the state chairman of the party, Donatus Wampa, and chairman of the party's National Caretaker Committee, Governor Mai Buni, urged them to be of good behavior and work conscientiously for the party's victory in 2023. The chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, said amending the Electoral Act without a commitment from stakeholders to do things differently cannot guarantee free and fair elections. Yakubu said this in an address delivered on his behalf by the INEC National Commissioner in charge of Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, at a 3-day retreat of the Joint Technical Committee on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2020, which ended in Abuja on Sunday. The Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, in his address, pledged to work with the Technical Committee to ensure unhindered presidential assent to the bill. The chairman, Senate Committee on INEC, Kabiru Gaya, announced that they had received 24 written memorandum and verbal presentations from different interest groups, noting that the committee has more than enough valuable inputs from Nigerians for consideration. Also at the event, Head of Governance and Stability at the United Kingdom Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, Sam Waldock, said the United Kingdom has so far invested over £50 million in Nigeria's electoral processes since 2015. And now to the educational sector, where non-teaching staff in the universities under the aegis of the Joint Action Committee will on Tuesday embark on a 3-day nationwide protest over the government's handling of the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPPIS, sharing formula of the 40 billion naira earned academic allowances and non-payment of arrears of the new minimum wage. The committee said other issues that informed the decision include inconsistencies in IPPIS payments and the delay in the renegotiation of the federal government, Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and Senior Staffs Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU 2009 agreement. Others were the non-payment of retirement benefits to former members, non-constitutional visitation panels to universities, poor funding of universities, teaching staff usurping the headship of non-teaching units, among others. The JAC, which comprised of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions and Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, directed all its branches to mobilize the members on Monday for the rallies. The decision to embark on the protest was taken on Friday night at a meeting by the leadership of NASU and SANU in Abuja, where they reviewed the Memorandum of Understanding signed with the federal government on October 20th, 2020. In a communique signed by the SANU President, Mohammed Ibrahim, and the General Secretary of NASU, Prince Peters Adeyemi, the committee added that the unions would consider other measures, including embarking on an indefinite strike after the protest. Coming up in a moment, George Obiozor emerges president of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. Details in a moment.
At split seconds, there is a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break from Nigeria and across the world. We would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Welcome back. You're still listening to News Dawn, and now to the rest of the news, where former Nigerian ambassador to the United States, Professor George Obiozor, has emerged new President General of the Igbo Socio-Cultural Group, Ohanaeze Ndigbo. He's got 304 votes to beat two other contestants to emerge the winner in an election held at the Dan Anyanwu Stadium, Owerri, on Sunday. Before the election, Professor Obioza had emerged as a consensus candidate at Timobi meeting convened by the Nwodo-led executive of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, but his emergence was described as unconstitutional by some aspirants. The 78-year-old professor was Nigeria's ambassador to the United States from 2004 to 2008. He was also a former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, former High Commissioner to Cyprus, and also former Nigeria's former ambassador to Israel from 1999 to 2003. And on to the medical sector the Chief Medical Director, Dalhatu Araf Specialist Hospital, Lafia, Dr. Ikrama Hassan, has disclosed that 15 doctors out of 139 doctors working in the hospital have tested positive to COVID-19. Speaking in Lafia, the CMD appealed to the Association of Resident Doctors to have a dialogue with the management of the hospital on their position to close down the hospital in the midst of the second wave of COVID-19. The resident doctors had called on the association to downscale service delivery in all the departments of the hospital due to the rise of infection of health workers with COVID-19. Hassan, who said the second wave of the pandemic is more infectious and needed concerted effort to tackle it, maintained that calling for the closing of the hospital will result in high mortality rate in the state. And now to Ebonyi State, where 3 officers have been killed and 2 others injured after gunmen invaded the Onueke police station in Ezza local government area of the state. Confirming the developments, the Ebonyi State Police Command said investigations are underway to apprehend the perpetrators. The command spokesperson DSP Lovett Oda disclosed that the gunmen invaded the police station and opened fire on the officers on duty, which led to the killing of 3 policemen and injuring 2 others. DSP Oda further revealed that the unfortunate incident which took place on Friday led to the death of 2 inspectors and another officer on guard at the station. A woman who was said to be in her house within the premises of the police station was also killed. The spokesperson said normalcy has since returned in the area, adding that the situation is now under control. And coming up in a moment in our business news, federal government to earn 7.5 billion naira from 161 oil field bid rounds finalists. Details in a moment.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 600 billion, and the last kobo. Oh yes, we follow the money. It's all about the business and the business of business. The gains and the losses. The bulls and bears. The rise and falls. The risk and the satisfaction of seeing the last kobo rise to millions. On KUFM's Business News, the simple and complex jargons of business just make sense. Get the trending news on the morning market, forecast, investment opportunities, policy changes, and other breakout information on the ever-busy world of business. KU Business News, Monday to Friday on our news dawn, 6:30 to 7 a.m.
The federal government is estimated to generate a total revenue of 7.9 billion naira from the 161 companies shortlisted to advance to the final stage of the marginal fields bid round launched 7 months ago. The head of public affairs, DPR, Paul Osu, said the firms were selected from the over 600 companies that applied for pre-qualification. The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, had announced on June 1st, 2020, the start of the 2020 Marginal Field Build Round, which is open to indigenous companies and investors interested in participating in the exploration and production business in Nigeria. The DPR said then that 57 marginal fields were available, with data from the agency showing that applicants would pay fees totaling 49.09 million naira per field. According to the agency, a marginal field is any field that has been discovered and has been left unattended for a period of not less than 10 years from the date of first discovery, or such fields as the president may, from time to time, identify as a marginal field. According to DPR's guidelines, applicable fees are 500,000 naira for registration, 2 million naira for application, 3 million naira for bid processing, $15,000 for data praying, $25,000 for data leasing, $50,000 for competent persons report, and $25,000 for field-specific report. Away from that, currency in circulation rose by 249 billion naira from 2.66 trillion naira as of the end of November to 2.91 trillion naira in December 2020. The data was obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria on Sunday. The CIC rose from a figure of 2.49 trillion naira as of the end of October. The CBN said as a result of its monetary policy actions, the reserve money grew moderately as of end of September 2020. In its third quarter economic report, it stated that on a quarterly basis, reserve money grew by 2.5% to 13.57 trillion naira at end September 2020, compared with a growth of 30.4% at the end of June 2020. At 11.14 trillion naira, liabilities to other depository corporations grew by 1.9%, compared with the growth of 39.3% at end June 2020, while the currency components grew by 5.5%, compared with 0.2% at end June 2020. The corresponding factors were net foreign assets, which grew by 6.7% as a result of the significant decline in the liabilities of non-residents, net claims on the central government, public financial corporation, and the private sector, which grew by 16.0%, 30.8%, and 15.8% respectively. Finally, on business, the price of Bonny Light, Nigeria's premium oil grade, has risen to $54.11 $54.11 per barrel, which could be said to be the highest in 2021 as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and others move to achieve stability in the market. This showed an excess of $14 per barrel when compared to the $40 per barrel and 1.8 million barrels per day output benchmark of the nation's 2021 budget. However, OPEC, which concluded its 13th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting held via video conference on January 5, 2021, called for the cooperation of all stakeholders in order to achieve stability. And that's it on business. And now in sport, where Man City beats Birmingham in a 3-0 win. Details in a moment. And now talking sports, where Man City produced a polished performance to outclass Birmingham and reached the FA Cup fourth round. The hosts were without striker Sergio Aguero, who was supposed to be making his first start since October, but has to isolate because he came into contact with someone who had COVID-19. Man City, which beat Manchester United on Wednesday to reach the Carabao Cup final, took things easier in the second half, but still dominated possession and gave Bernardo Silva enough chances to complete his hat-trick. Birmingham were on the back foot from the start and fell behind when they could only clear Joao Cancelo's clipped pass into the path of Silva, who expertly steered the bouncing ball into the top corner with a fierce first-time shot. Another superb passing move soon after gave Silva his second goal, this time with a tap-in from Kevin De Bruyne's pullback. The Belgian was in majestic form and opened up the Birmingham defense time and time again before Riyad Mahrez fed Phil Foden to make it 3-0 from the edge of the area. And finally, in sport news, Chelsea ended a run of 3 straight games without a win with a convincing 4-0 win start against lower league side Morecambe in the FA Cup third round tie on Sunday. Prior to the game against Morecambe, Chelsea had lost 2 and drawn 1 of their last 3 fixtures. Mason Mount, Timo Werner, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Kai Havertz were the scores for Chelsea. Mount opened scoring for the Blues in the 18th minute before Werner doubled their lead on 44 minutes. Into the 49th minute, Hudson-Odoi made it 3-0 with Havertz completing the rout with 4 minutes left in the game. In other FA Cup games, Crawley Town defeated Premier League side Leeds United 3-0. Bristol City beat Portsmouth 2-1 and Barnsley defeated Chamere 2-0. And that's it on sports news. And that's the news. But before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. On the news this morning, we told you that Syrup has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to drop plan to borrow dormant account balances. And in Calabar, NCDC parades suspected child traffickers. And finally, George Obiozor emerges president of Ohanaeze Ndigbo. Please remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget you can listen to us anywhere in the world, either by visiting our website at www.kufm.net, or you can download our KU mobile app from the Google Play Store. For visual purposes, you can join us live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria and also listen to us on radiogarden.com. KUFM's News Dawn was produced by Blessing Asekome. I am God's Love Orlando saying thanks for listening and good morning.
Turn us up. 92.7.
I'm already here for Papito. Baby, come right now. You give me life, you give me life. When you start to bust the wine, you give me love, you give me life. Girl, you're young, cause I fight it. I realize. Say you they carry dynamite. You give me life. When you start to wine, my body is your body, yeah. My money is your money, yeah. On your own, you need somebody, yeah. Baby, tell me what you want from me, yeah. Is it your mind, is it your body? Baby, can you answer for me, yeah. Yeah, girl, it's the weekend, I go spend my money, yeah. If you be Fendi that you want, I got it, yeah. It that you want, they give me life, oh. I want the life, oh. Yeah, that you want, oh. Girl, I'm a fan of you. If they want step to your girl, better know I'ma stand for you. Yeah. You give me life. When you start to bust the wine, you give me love. Girl, you're young, cause I fight it. I realize. Say you they carry dynamite. You give me life. When you start to wine, my body is your body, yeah. My money is your money, yeah. On your own, you need somebody, yeah. Baby, tell me what you want from me, yeah. I gotta do what I gotta do to get to you, got me feeling like I can't lose, nah. Girl, your body got me confused, yeah. I'll be a soldier, I go hold you down. But the summertime, I go day or town. Every thought is you show me around. Got me feeling like I wanna go downtown, yeah. you the carry dynamite. You give me life, you give me life. When you start to whine.